Let me be absolutely crystal clear with you right now, because if you are holding the Iraqi dinar, what I am about to tell you is the single most important piece of information you will hear this year, and frankly, for the last 2 decades. Forget the rumors, set aside the hype from the gurus, and stop endlessly scrolling through forums filled with conflicting information. The moment we have all been waiting for is no longer a speculative dream or a distant promise on a foggy horizon. It is a tangible document, an actively unfolding financial process that has been set into motion by the highest authorities in Iraq and is being carefully monitored by international financial institutions. I am talking about the official commencement of the revaluation process for the Iraqi dinar. This is not a drill. This is not another baseless RV is tomorrow claim designed to get clicks. What we are seeing now is the direct result of years, and I mean years, of brutal geopolitical negotiation, intense internal economic restructuring, and strategic compliance with global financial standards that Iraq has had to meet head on. The Central Bank of Iraq, under the direct guidance of the Iraqi government and with the explicit oversight of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, has initiated the first, most critical phase of what they are internally calling the monetary reform project. This phase is all about systems integrity and synchronization. Think about it like launching a new global currency. You cannot simply flip a switch. The entire financial ecosystem of a country, and by extension its connection to the global payment matrix like STU-FT, must be upgraded, tested, and tested to prevent catastrophic failure. Right now, as I am speaking to you, the backend systems of the Central Bank of Iraq are undergoing the final rounds of simultaneous transaction processing tests with major correspondent banks in Europe and Asia. This is a technical way of saying they are ensuring that when the new exchange rate goes live, a wire transfer from Baghdad to a bank in London or Singapore will process instantly and accurately, reflecting the new, vastly higher value without causing system-wide errors or transaction rejections. Furthermore, the Ministry of Finance has quietly, but very deliberately, begun a process of rate alignment within the national budget. For the 2024 fiscal year, you will find embedded within the complex budgetary documents line items that are calculated using a provisional, non-public exchange rate that is significantly higher than the current official rate of 1310 dinars to $1. This is a classic and telltale sign of a government preparing its internal accounting for a new reality. They are stress testing their own budget, calculating project costs, salary allocations, and infrastructure spending against a higher valuation to ensure national solvency the moment the new rate is public. This is not something they do for fun. It is a mandatory, logistical prerequisite to prevent hyperinflation and economic chaos upon revaluation. All of this is happening under the umbrella of a much larger, more significant geopolitical shift. The United States Treasury, through its Office of Foreign Assets Control, has been gradually and systematically easing the financial restrictions on Iraq's central bank. The recent waivers granted to Iraq for electricity payments to Iran are a small, visible part of a much larger iceberg of financial normalization. Iraq is being brought in from the cold. Financially speaking, they are demonstrating a sustained commitment to anti-money laundering protocols, combating terrorist financing, and achieving a level of fiscal transparency that the global community demands. The petrodollar system, which has been the bedrock of the global economy for 50 years, is undergoing a seismic transformation, and Iraq, with its vast oil reserves, is positioning itself not as a bystander, but as a strategic player in the new multipolar financial world. This alignment with international policy is the final, non-negotiable key that has been missing for years. Without this green light from the international community, any attempt at a significant revaluation would have been instantly crushed by economic sanctions and banking isolation. That barrier is now crumbling. So when you hear phrases like "it's starting," this is the concrete data-driven reality behind those words. It is the silent technical and bureaucratic machinery of global finance finally turning its gears in favor of the dinar. This is the foundation being poured, and it is the most critical part of the entire process. So, with this undeniable momentum building, the question that is burning in every investor's mind is what happens next, and more importantly, how do you, as an individual holder, navigate this incredibly complex and potentially life-altering transition without making a catastrophic mistake? The pathway from this initial systems testing phase to the moment you can actually exchange your dinars for a new value is not a single event, but a carefully choreographed sequence of financial announcements and logistical rollouts. And understanding this sequence is the difference between capitalizing on this opportunity and watching it pass you by. The next stage, which we are already seeing the early whispers of, will be a formal announcement from the Central Bank of Iraq, most likely in coordination with the International Monetary Fund. regarding a significant change in their monetary policy. This won't be the revaluation announcement itself, but a crucial precursor. They will announce the move away from a program rate, which is the highly artificial 1320 rate, to a stable and unified market rate. This new interim rate will be a substantial jump from where we are now, but it will not be the final, internationally recognized revalued rate that we are all anticipating. Think of this as the financial system's way of taking a first, confident step out of the shallow end and into the deeper water, testing its balance and stability before it starts to swim. This interim rate will be designed to soak up the massive volume of physical currency in circulation, both inside and outside of Iraq, and to stabilize the Iraqi economy by dramatically increasing its purchasing power and reducing its external debt burden overnight. Immediately following this, you will see a controlled and tiered activation of the new international exchange protocols. The first tier will be for the government of Iraq and its primary correspondent banks. They will begin settling sovereign debt, financing massive infrastructure projects, and rebalancing their foreign currency reserves at this new rate. This is the phase where the legitimacy of the process is cemented in the global financial system. The second tier will involve major international commercial banks and premier financial institutions like Citibank, HSBC, and Deutsche Bank, who will be given the green light to begin internal processing and to prepare their foreign exchange desks for public transactions. They will be updating their internal software, running their own compliance checks, and training staff on the new procedures. It is only after these two tiers are fully operational and stable that the third and final tier will be activated for the general public, and that includes you and me. This is the moment when your local bank or preferred currency exchange will officially list the Iraqi dinar on their boards and begin buying and selling at the new revalued rate. But here is the critical part that most people are completely unprepared for. The compliance and regulatory hurdle you will face at that moment will be immense. Walking into a bank with a suitcase full of dinars without the proper documentation and a verifiable source of funds is a recipe for having your transaction denied and your assets frozen under anti-money laundering laws. The banks, under scrutiny from their own governments, will be required to perform enhanced due diligence on every single dinar transaction, especially large ones. They will need to see a rock-solid paper trail that proves where you acquired the currency, when you acquired it, and how you have stored it. This is not the time to be disorganized. If you cannot prove you bought your dinars from a licensed and reputable dealer with invoices and bank records, you may be treated with suspicion. Furthermore, the tax implications are staggering. A successful revaluation will be considered a capital gain by every major Western government, and you could be liable for a tax burden of 20, 30, or even 40% on your profit. Consulting with a financial advisor and a tax attorney who specializes in foreign currency transactions is not a suggestion. It is an absolute necessity to protect your wealth from being eroded away immediately after you exchange. The entire process, from the policy announcement to the public exchange, could unfold over a matter of weeks, not months, which means the window for preparation is closing rapidly. The intelligence we are gathering from the ground in Baghdad and from financial contacts in Europe indicates that this sequence is not a matter of if anymore, but a matter of when, and the when is measured in a very short time frame. Now that you understand the monumental shift that is underway and the precise sequence of events that will unfold, the absolute most critical phase begins for you right now in this very moment, and it has nothing to do with buying more dinars and everything to do with executing a flawless strategic plan to protect and then multiply the wealth that this revaluation is about to place in your hands. The first and most immediate step you must take is to conduct a full and complete audit of your own dinar holdings. This means you need to gather every single certificate, every invoice from your dealer, every bank statement showing the wire transfer you used to purchase the currency, and every single note you possess. You must organize them meticulously. Create digital copies stored securely in the cloud and have them ready to present at a moment's notice. This paper trail is your first and most powerful line of defense against a skeptical bank manager or a probing tax authority. It transforms you from a speculative investor into a legitimate, documented holder of a foreign asset, and that distinction will make or break your ability to access your funds without delay or legal entanglement. The next step, which you should have initiated yesterday, is to establish a relationship with a financial professional who is already briefed on this situation. You do not have the luxury of time to educate a local accountant or a bank teller on the intricacies of the Iraqi dinar. You need to be working with a wealth management firm, an asset protection attorney, and a tax strategist who are already aware of the RV's potential and have prepared structures in place for their clients. These professionals can guide you on the establishment of trusts, private foundations, or offshore banking arrangements that can legally shield a significant portion of your new wealth from excessive taxation and from the countless individuals who will inevitably emerge seeking a handout once your financial windfall becomes public knowledge. This is about creating a fortress around your wealth before the storm of attention arrives. Then, and only then, should you begin to craft a diversified exit and investment strategy. The goal is not to simply become cash rich. The goal is to transform the cash into a lasting, multi-generational legacy of financial freedom and security. This means having a clear, tiered plan for which assets you will convert first, how much liquidity you will keep on hand, and which long-term investments you will prioritize. Will you pay off all your debt? Absolutely. Will you purchase a new home? Perhaps. But the real wealth is built by allocating a large portion of your capital into income, producing assets like dividend-paying stocks, real estate investment trusts, commercial property, and precious metals that will provide a continuous and growing stream of passive income for you and your family for decades to come, effectively ensuring that you never have to worry about money again. This is the ultimate end game that makes the entire wait worthwhile. The information I have laid out for you today is the culmination of thousands of hours of research, network building, and financial analysis, and it is all designed to give you the clarity and the confidence to act decisively. The starting pistol for the most important financial race of your life has been fired. The systems are live, the policies are aligning, and the international green light we have been waiting for is now shining brightly. The long, dark night of waiting is over, and the dawn of a new financial reality is finally here. Do not let this historic opportunity pass you by because you were unprepared for the logistical and regulatory challenges that come with it. Your future self, the one who is financially free, who has secured their family's future, and who is living a life of purpose and abundance without the constant stress of bills and debt, is counting on you to make the right decisions today.